This is probably a well-worn phrase, I should say, for an artist, is that I don't paint and put in the subject. And for me, I don't paint figures often enough than I would like. I do love figurative work and portraiture, and it's been many years since I've done a portrait, and that's something that I'm going to look into correcting. But figures, I've done them on and off over the years, but it had been quite a while between the recent moment that I had painted a decent size figure in relation to the board, because this board's only about 8 by 8, I think, so it's only a small little, I think it's around about 7 or 8 inches square. So I was more treating this one as a bit of a study, a sketch. And also, it's funny how as an artist you sort of have these thoughts in your mind that, oh geez, you know what, I haven't painted a such and such for so long. And then you find you go, and this is a granddaughter of one of the people that I do a workshop for in Melbourne, Joyce. And I've had these photos for about 8 years. And I was just looking through and I thought, that's always wanted to do that one. So it's may not be everyone's favourite subject of mine, but I think art and painting needs to be more about the journey and the discovery, the process of working, how we apply paint, when, where, how. All of those are really important questions to keep asking ourselves. That's why I've always loved the wiping back technique, and that's what I just employed with the rag there. Hi, hope you're enjoying the video. If you want more in-depth tutorials, I release exclusive videos to my Patreon each month. Paint with confidence. Click on the link to sign up today. This is actually the driveway into the back of the house, or Joyce's property, so that's why there's the big gravelled area there. And the area in the background is actually a little grassed area. I believe it's probably soaking up a lot of the the sewerage, the septic tank, I think is probably the correct word. And it has some of the greenest grass regularly that you'd ever see. And that's the reason why. So just bringing those little brushes now, just fine tuning. So I do use the similar technique, big brushes for the big areas, for the beginning, and then I'll scale down to this Eclipse Coma, which is about a half inch, I should say, for the medium-sized shapes, sometimes the backgrounds. It's a great nimble little brush. I get either a lovely looseness if needed, or nice sharp edges when needed with great control. So just using a little bit of abstraction in the background there. There's kind of a little bit of dry grass there, so I'm just using that little bit of the orangey brown. So it's always good to question how something's going. Is it too horizontally strong? That's why stepping back, analysing, checking to see how the paint is applied, even the surface of the paint is super important. That actual mark that we make is almost like our signature or our handwriting. So it does form a huge part. And that's where these normally I would do say a little still life, but I thought, you know what, this is almost like a little still life figurine. So if you imagined it was a little plush toy or a little figurine, and I'd placed it on, say, a bench top with, say, backlit from the sun. So there's lots of ways to sort of think about how to approach things and how to get a certain amount of success with most or everything that we do. And I think we shouldn't be too worried about where and when we don't get success. That normally just means that our technique, our approach on that day just didn't quite handle or stand up to the questions being asked. The little girl's name's Shiloh. She's just playing with some of her toys there. Her father's just out to the right, just helping sort of give a bit of direction for me. Because I think when getting figurative subjects, you do want quite a bit of the confidence of the model, whether the model's 6 years old or 66 years old. You do need to have them comfortable, have them relaxed, and sort of not too self-conscious, because that's when they freeze and stiffen up. That's why you want it to be sort of playtime. So I think I've used about 5 brushes here. The big hog hair, the Eclipse Coma, the size 3 Master's Choice, and then just my little liner brush there. And I mentioned still life, and I really do treat a lot of subjects like a still life, whether it's a cow, tractor, car, figure, sheep, you name it. Making sure I unify those big shapes so important, because all the detail in the world won't help if I don't get those darks dark enough or the midtones working so that when you drop the light in, it works beautifully. If anything, I think I've noticed I tend to go a little too dark in my values, especially as they go back. And I'm always having to readjust them later. But that's okay. It's always a little bit of struggle to get success. And I felt that light was just so pure and bright, it was very hard to get it to work or to resemble the actual light from the reference image. Okay, just buzzing around, just double checking, triple checking. And that's where I always like to think I'm painting the painting up to 98% completion, because then I can reserve the right to rework it in a week or a month's time. And a lot of times I'm actually taking out stuff, not adding. I may be just correcting a bit of drawing, but I'm more removing information. Because the one thing that I've found from the still life is if we get the notes right, the accents right, the whole painting works. That's when it's overworked.